This statue is all that's left to be seen of the temple. The rest disappeared underwater when the lagoon formed. There's an old column here, reclaimed by the jungle. These plants are firmly attached. I can't just pull them away. My guide said this lagoon was formed a few centuries ago, when a storm tide flooded the valley here. Perhaps some of the temple's still intact. I've got to check it out. At least the water's nice and warm. You know, it all started innocently enough. Flies. Nothing dangerous about flies. Then there was the cat. Then the sheep. The tiger. Now sharks. Bloody sharks! I'd better steer clear of him. At least the temple looks intact. I'd better head back to the shore before he spots me. Okay. I have to get rid of that shark if I'm going to reach the temple. I'll fill it with water. Let's get up there and take a look. The cockpit's ruined, but there's a glove compartment here that looks relatively intact. This wreck's old. The jungle's begun eating into it. There's a cardboard box in relatively good condition in the glove compartment, but everything else is foobar. The cover for the electrics. The cover is attached with 4 hexagonal nuts. I need something to unscrew them. Let's see what's in this box. Looks like an old radio. A radio with a hand-operated generator. You produce power by turning this little crank on the side. Oh, it fell off. Wow, blind luck. The radio crank fits right into the bolts on the cover. Ah, there's an electrics cable under here. Might come in handy. This should moisten the bloodstain. The water's seeped into the dirt and the blood. I'd rather not touch it. I've soaked the cloth in the blood. I'll tie the rag to one end of the cable. I'll connect one end of the cable to the contacts on the radio. I don't need to use it at the moment. Besides, my gut tells me this thing may not be up to modern electrical safety regulations. The radio can be charged electrically, and that charge could then be conducted down the cable. Sharks, I'm sure, are sensitive beings at heart. Even a small shock should be enough for him to turn tail. Of course, he's right on the lagoon bed. I'll need him to be right on top of the cable for it to work. Hopefully the smell of blood will be enough to attract his attention. It's working. The shark's surfaced, and he's circling the bait. I need to hurry before he pulls the whole thing under. Whap! 40 volts straight to the face. Fenton Paddock, top of the food chain. Time to get down there and check out this temple. There's a pole stuck in the mud here. Just mud. Oh, and a little snail. Weed, mud, clay. Yes, it's a lake bed. I have my strengths, but breathing underwater isn't one of them. I'll collect some mud. It's a huge gate with a recess in the center. How am I supposed to get in? There, I've managed to cut away the plants with the sharp edge of the pole. There's a small carving here. I severed the vine. It's dripping some kind of oily sap. There's oily plant sap dripping from where I severed it. Men can moisturize too, you know. I'll soak the reeds with some of the sap. If it's good for my skin, it can't do any harm to an old rock. I'll oil it up. I've coated the carving with the plant oil. I've oiled up the carving. Not much else I can do. Might be I can make some kind of mould of this carving. At the moment, though, the cardboard's just too rigid. I've oiled up the carving. Not much else I can do. I could heat the clay, but it's not much use in the bottom of this jug. Might be I can make some kind of mould of this carving. At the moment, though, The cardboard's just too rigid. The cardboard's softened in the water. Perfect. This should make for a good mould. The damp cardboard will dry around the carving, and the plant oil should let me get it off again in one piece. The cardboard's dried in the heat. If I just remove it carefully, and yes, a beautiful cardboard mould. I filled the cardboard mould with clay. Let's hope it's hot enough to fire the clay. That should do it. The cardboard's burned away, and the clay looks pretty solid. It's lying in the embers. I need something to pull it out with. The hardened clay's lying in the fire. Got it. It fits. We're in business. How has no water reached this part of the temple? It smells old and dank, but at least I can breathe. There's a round stone here. It must have fallen out of the ceiling or the wall. The painting shows burning houses and many, many dead people. They're fighting one another on a huge mountain of corpses. But they don't look like warriors. They're just townsfolk murdering one another. Is this the fall of Shambhala? The inexplicable catastrophe that Professor Hayes mentioned? But he said it was a dragon, and Kim translated something similar back at the monastery. These people are killing each other. But why? There's a round stone jutting out of the wall here. I'll grab it. The painting up there has a number of people reaching the shores of a sea or a river by boat. These must be the Shambhala survivors, the ones who came here to hide the second key. That can't be. That looks like a British Army uniform. But this place was supposed to have been built millennia ago. These glass windows must be thick as hell to withstand the water pressure, but this place was supposed to have been built over 10,000 years ago. They should barely have had two sticks to rub together. Christ, all these stories and legends. They're all beginning to feel very real. It's a magnificent city with some kind of glowing orb in the center. This must be Shambhala, the light at the center. That must be the source of these morphogenetic fields. It's the world's soul. Here's another stone. It's so well preserved. The painting seems to portray a scene Professor Hayes told me about. It's a group of herdsmen or hunters entering a large cave in the mountains. These are the people who discovered the entrance to Shambhala many thousands of years ago. There's a loose stone protruding slightly from this painting. There's a plinth in the middle of the room. Okay, we've got 6 circular recesses arranged around a symbol. This must be where the artifact was stored all that time ago. I'd better take a closer look. There's a small slab in the middle of the plinth with a symbol on it. I can't move it. A circular recess. It looks like something needs to be inserted. Another round stone. I heard something move inside. Is it unlocked? Aha! The stones can be pushed down into the platform. That must be the artifact. The key to the gates of Shambhala. Finally, the second key. I've travelled 3 continents just to find this thing. I should be happy. Or at least relieved. But there's something bothering me. Something at the back of my mind. I'm finally holding in my hands the key to Shambhala. The key to rescuing Richard. And I've got this weird feeling about it all. Is that my conscience? Damn, I thought I lost the thing years ago. Maybe all this wasn't such a good idea. How many people have already died for this thing? And how many more will die if I open the gate to Shambhala? Beyond all the myths and the legends, there has to be something real at the end of it all. There is something behind that gate that shouldn't be messed with. I don't know. Maybe it's this place, or maybe I'm just tired, but I can't help but think back to Hong Kong Harbour. I made a split-second decision to save Richard, and it was the wrong one. I won't make the same mistake again. I don't have the luxury of special circumstances as an excuse this time, and this time, there's a lot more at stake. Kim said you can't weigh one life against another. Last time, my mistake cost 8 lives. This time, it could be thousands. I've got to accept the reality. I can't go back to Tibet. I have to go back to where it all began. I have to justify the most difficult decision of my entire life.
Lord Weston.
Yes?
Mr. Paddock is back.
What? What are you waiting for? Send him in, quickly. Fenton, you have no idea how relieved I am to see you.
Lord Weston.
Do you have any news of my son? Is he alive?
I'm afraid it's not that simple, Governor.
Is Richard dead? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, he's still alive, I think.
Oh, thank God. Do you need more money? How can I help you? Just say the word, I'll do everything within my power.
Sir, I know where your son is. I even have the key to the gate that leads to his location. The problem is, I can't be answerable for opening that gate.
And what is that supposed to mean?
Richard is in a place in the Himalayas called Shambhala. For some reason, he fled there when his unit was attacked by Nazi troops. Maybe it was the only way he could prevent the Nazis from entering Shambhala. The point is, that place holds a secret so vital, it cannot be permitted to fall into the wrong hands at any cost. This is what I've come to realize. The second key could undo everything Richard has worked for. If I reopen the gate in order to follow him, I'd risk letting the Nazis into Shambhala. Lord Weston, we have to destroy the second portal key. I'm sorry, but the dangers it represents are simply too great.
What are you saying? You suggest that we leave my son, your friend, to his fate?
Lord Weston, you know what Richard means to me. You know what I've sacrificed for him. Believe me, if there were any other way, I would take it. I know it's hard to accept, but after everything I've seen and experienced, I just can't continue with this mission. I'm here today to ask for your understanding.
I cannot believe I'm hearing this. You sentence my son to death, and you come here asking for absolution. I was wrong about you, Paddock. If you are unable to handle the situation, I shall have to find someone who is.
As I said, I'm very sorry, Lord Weston. But I've made my decision. I'm going to destroy the key.
I'm afraid that decision is no longer in your hands.
What is this? You're collaborating with the Nazis, Governor!
I had no choice, Fenton. Mr. Kleist claimed to know where Richard was. He said he could return him to me. I was skeptical, but a father will cling to even the slightest shred of hope. I never gave up hope that you would solve the situation, and that I could quickly end my collaboration with the Nazis. But now I realize that I backed the wrong horse.
Governor, this is a mistake.
I'm prepared to take that risk.
Herr Paddock, I wonder if you would be so kind as to accompany me to the airport. You have an appointment in Tibet that you absolutely cannot miss.
We meet again, Mr. Paddock.
It's a dubious pleasure, Countess. But I guess you've become rather accustomed to having me around.
Had I been given the choice, you would be lying in your wretched Hong Kong shack with a hole between your eyes, believe me. I console myself knowing this will be the last time your good fortune keeps you alive. I hardly imagine you are aware of the fact, but you must at least have felt the transfer of energy when you held the second artifact in your hands, yes? Paddock, you have connected with the key. You are now the only person capable of using it.
You mean you can't get into Shambhala without little old me?
Precisely.
And you think I'm going to help you?
But of course, there can be no doubt.
I hate to break it to you, love, but if I really am your last option, you're rather scraping the bottom of the barrel. Your expedition ends here.
Tut, tut, Mr. Paddock. You are always so hasty to judge before knowing all the facts. I am well aware of the lengths you would go to keep Shambhala from us. You would merrily abandon your greatest friend for that very reason. But I wonder, would you so capriciously condemn to death your pretty little accomplice?
Kim!
You would merrily abandon your greatest friend for that very reason. But I wonder, would you so capriciously condemn to death your pretty little accomplice? Oh, please don't look so dejected. At least you have one less life on your conscience. Well, if you cooperate, that is. Please don't make me describe to you what will happen to your girlfriend should you fail to comply. I think you have the imagination to make the right decision.
Kim, are you okay?
Just about.
Well?
Okay. Let her go and I'll do whatever you want.
I would dearly love to grant you this wish, but alas, it may be that your friend can make herself useful on the other side of the portal. No, she stays with us, but she gets to live a little longer.
Fine. What do you want me to do?
Place the second key in the recess on the pedestal. We will talk some more in Shambhala.
Fenton! Fenton, wake up!
What?
Fenton!
What? Richard? Richard, is that you?
Of course it's me. Are you feeling okay?
Why do you look like a ghost?
Oh, charming. You came all this way just to tell me I've seen better days.
I don't understand. My head hurts.
Apparently your sense of humor is still en route. Well, what is there to say but... welcome to Shambhala. It was good to see Wang's niece again, but I would have preferred it if you'd left the Nazis on the other side.
Kim! Where is she?
She landed in the central cabin along with the Countess. I managed to convince the Guardians of this place to separate you and bring you here instead.
Guardians? You mean there are still people here?
No, not in present-day Shambhala. Just you, Kim, and a few dozen Nazis.
So, what the hell are you talking about then? And what happened to you? Why are you all... flaky?
Ah, well, that's the story, isn't it? When I used the original key back in the monastery, it transported me to Shambhala. But the Shambhala of the past. It seems when the key was constructed thousands of years ago, the monks who stayed in the Kembalan Valley to guard it planned to use it to return here someday. I don't begin to understand how any of this works, but believe me when I say that this place holds extraordinary power.
So I've read. Something about morphogenetic fields.
Providing it a name implies an explanation for something inexplicable, but yes, if you like, morphogenetic fields. The High Priests described Shambhala as the heart of the world, but in truth, it's more like the soul. If you want to see it in a scientific light, I suppose you could say that the energy of this place is what constitutes the life force of every living creature throughout time. Just as every single person has a soul that makes him the person that he is, every species has a soul that makes the species what it is. And the sum of all that resides here. The world soul.
Would you be shocked if I said this was all a little over my head?
I've been here for days and I still don't understand it. I don't believe we'll ever understand this place completely. Just take it as fact. There is an energy here, an imperceptible energy that bonds us all.
How imperceptible exactly?
Well, we are all linked to one another subconsciously. But it's true that certain people are able to detect the fields with more precision than others. We call them mediums or oracles. But the energy fields explain a lot more than that. Think about natural instincts, or phenomena such as mass panic. They're all a result of the ebb and flow of those subconscious links.
Well, It all sounds very grand, but what does it actually mean on a practical level? Are we in danger?
Fenton, imagine the heart of Shambhala as a gigantic archive, a pool of everything people have ever researched, discovered, or developed.
So, that's a yes then.
It is. The entire world converges right here.
And the Countess knows that.
But it's not just that. The center transcends time and space. He who controls it controls the sum of all human knowledge, past, present,
and future. They could conquer the world.
No, that's not the threat. The power of this place is too much for any person to control. Mankind doesn't have the maturity to handle this gift. Even the priests of primeval times failed.
So, this field of energy ended up making the residents of Shambhala kill each other in a civil war?
Correct.
How?
Imagine understanding everything, instantly. The spirit of a person would be subjected to extraordinary strain. They simply couldn't cope. Besides, there are darker forces at work. This archive is not limited to discoveries and inventions. It represents the entirety of the human condition. Jealousy, envy, hate. These define the human species just as much as learning or understanding, and have a corresponding influence here in Shambhala. But, as I said before, it is not something we can easily understand.
Okay, fine. So we just wait for the Countess to open the center. I'll dash in, grab Kim, then we sit back and watch while they all kill each other.
You're absolutely right.
But?
In my time, Fenton, the surviving priests are preparing to leave Shambhala for good. In order to protect the heart from misuse, they are performing a ceremony that will set up a force field around it. This field will allow only the bearer of a certain amulet to pass through. After the ceremony, the amulet will be divided into 3 pieces and hidden in the temples of 3 priest castes who once ruled here.
Hey, even better. The Nazis won't get past square one.
No, they've begun to plant explosives. The field is maintained in your time by a series of plinths. It would take a great deal of power, but they may be able to destroy them. We have to stop them, Fenton. They may not be able to wield the power of Shambhala, but if the energy of this place is disrupted in any way, it could have catastrophic effects for every living creature on the planet. We must act quickly.
We? I thought you were stuck in the past.
You're right. But you won't find the 3 amulet pieces without my help. If I understand it correctly, our times are now synchronized. We can communicate, but we cannot cross the boundary. In my time, the priests are only just now performing the ceremony to invoke the force field. So the amulet has not yet been hidden, and I have no way to know where it will be placed. But that doesn't mean to say I can't help you look for it.
And what am I supposed to do with the thing when I find it?
You will have to use the power of the source to drive off the Nazis.
As in the source that sends anyone who goes anywhere near it doolally? That source? Is there a plan B?
Don't worry. Once you find the dragon amulet, I will help you control it.
Okay, let's do it.
I couldn't agree more. The future of the world is in our hands.
Looks like I'm on my own again. I'm still not sure I've got a handle on all this. 10,000 years ago, the residents of Shambhala all kill each other, save for a few priests who escape the civil war. Shortly after that, Richard crash lands here and convinces those priests to invoke a force field around the center to protect it. Now the Countess, along with her troops, and Kim, are in the center of Shambhala, ready to blow the bloody thing up. And, surprise, surprise, I'm the only one that can stop them. I need 3 pieces of some amulet to harness the power of the source and somehow make everything okay again. That's Richard's plan, in any case. I'll probably just wander around breaking things until something interesting happens.